Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the new South Meeting Room at the Morton Street Parks and Rec facility. I'm excited to have us all here and have you all join us tonight. Would you all join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Bartholomew?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Fowler?
Yes.
Hart?
Here.
Wozniacki?
Here.
Seidel?
Here.
President Milzon?
Here.
All
We
accounted for?
have a quorum. All right. In your packet, you have minutes from January 21st, 2020. If anybody would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Motion by Hart, second by Seidel. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Also in your packet, you have the monthly bills. They total council bills, $49,679.62. And then you have the overall check register report, $138,791.55.
Motion to pay the bills presented.
Motion by Poznanski.
Support.
Sorry, support by Bartholomew. I think he
Okay.
beat Bob out.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
President Milzon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Perfect. Next up, we have the approval of our agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Hart.
Support.
Support by Edwards. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Quickly moving on, our special presentations. We have 3 presenters tonight. First up is Brandon Farron. I hope I said that correct. From DTE, the Business District Lighting presentation. Would you? He did.
Wait for this to warm up really quick.
Oh, gotcha. We might have turned it on just a few minutes earlier. He did provide slide copies of his presentation, and then you had the copy of his proposal in your packet if you need to follow along.
Want the lights out?
Can we do like one light or
I don't think so.
Sure.
It's all or none.
which is the front or the back?
Everyone see that as much as
Do you have you want to switch?
Just if we can do
give
like
us
half
one
the lights
switch?
or?
Yeah, okay, that's better. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brandon Farron. I'm with DT Energy in the Community Lighting Group, and I am here to talk about the street lighting in downtown business district and what DT can do as far as removing the existing street lights and installing a new pole with the LED street light attached to that, and the costs associated with that, the construction costs, as well as your expected monthly cost moving forward. So I'm not sure if you know anything about our system now, but we do offer affordable, predictable monthly rates. It's an unmetered service. Rates are available for both underground and overhead fed systems, and DT does offer credit available towards the construction costs. For the service and maintenance that's included, we do have a preventative maintenance program, which includes LED washing, bulb replacement, post painting, or post replacements. We have a reactive outage maintenance program too, so if a pole gets knocked down, we have a crew that's ready 24/7 to make that location safe in case any kind of pedestrians do come in contact with the cable that's going to be exposed. For the energy efficiency lighting, we do offer LED lighting for reduced energy consumption, and energy efficiency rebates are available too. Not just for converting a light to LED, but for a new installation for an LED light, we do also offer a rebate for that as well. For our municipal streetlight program, obviously again, it's an unmetered service. It's becoming either a 5 or 10 year agreement. It's predictable monthly fees, including all your energy and maintenance services, including fixture outages, post knockdowns and damage, and underground electrical connections. DTE and the customer share in the cost of the construction. DTE issues construction credits equal to 3 years of the building revenue. The customer provides the balance of those costs, called the contribution in aid of construction, or CIAC. So this next slide is CIAC and how it's calculated. Contribution in aid of construction is the cost of installing the lighting system and the removal of existing equipment, if there is any, less 3 times the annual revenue expected for the new equipment. So this example I have right here is, I believe what, I think you might have shared it with me. This is the cost for the project if we were to install it and you were to pay the money up front. So what goes into this cost here are obviously there'd be 92 locations for 92 new streetlights going in, and it's also included the removal of the existing equipment. DT would install brand new cable throughout the whole area, as well as the poles and the lighting fixtures. So I guess we'll just start over here. So the estimated annual operating cost is $23,610.72. So those operating costs then are divided by 12, and therefore you get your estimated monthly charges of just under $2,000. And again, that $2,000 is for the energy and all the maintenance for that system forever. So if there's any kind of problems with it, just the outage has to be reported to us, and then we typically within 3 to 5 business days we have that repaired. And there's no extra cost for the repairs. Like I said, that's included in your monthly rate. So the overall cost to construct the project was $448,875.70. And for the 3-year revenue credit, we take this figure right here and times it by 3, and you get this right here. So we deduct $70,832.16 from the 448, and then that leaves you with the $378,043.57. Sounds like a lot of money, so there is a post-charge option, which is a funding mechanism that we just implemented late in the year, last year. It eliminates any kind of upfront construction cost. So kind of want to talk about that. There are a couple of requirements that are needed to qualify for this program. It has to be an underground fed lighting system, which the ones in the downtown business district are, and you need to have 5 or more lights for us to install, which we do meet that requirement as well. With the post-charge option, that contract is a 10-year contract. The benefits from this program, there's little or no upfront cost. It's fast and convenient, and it's affordable, predictable monthly rate, currently at $6.68 per month. The available per $1,000 increments of contribution in aid of construction cost. So this leads me to where the other part of the estimate that I provided, and it kind of shows you, this is what I showed you before right here. And anything below this is in addition. So the post-charge option, like I said, was for every $1,000 of construction cost, we do at a post-charge of $6.68 for that. So we basically had 378 post-charges because there's $378,000 worth of construction costs. We times that by the 668, and therefore that's how you get that $2,525.04. So that would be an additional cost on top of the actual energy and the maintenance program cost. When you add these two together, then you get the $4,492.60. That would be your monthly cost moving forward if you want to pay any money up front for this project whatsoever.
It ends up being $2,500 a month, but it also stretches over a 10-year period instead of a 3-year period, right?
Our normal contracts are a 5-year period, but if you do a post-charge option, it's a 10-year
So it's
contract.
twice the length of
Correct.
contract?
Yep.
And then after 10 years, it goes down to the 25?
So right now,
Two.
it's a 10-year contract. So after, if you don't want the lights after that, then you need to tell us, and there'll be a cost associated with us to remove these lights.
We don't know.
So we're not buying them?
Right.
Got it.
Correct. I mean, but,
It's still yours.
but the post-charge option right now, I just have to be upfront. There is not a sunset on that post-charge as of yet. It's being reviewed in a rate case that We're going to be filing to put a sunset on that post-charge option. But I could be upfront and tell you right now that cost will go on forever.
So what part goes away after 10 years?
Nothing goes away after 10 years.
So this is basically a forever contract?
Yeah, I'm not going with this.
Minimum
But after 10 years.
When you stay in.
20 years, still gonna be paying 40,
You never owned it.
4,500.
Right. And like, we're hoping within the next like, year or two to have a sunset on that post-charge, and therefore, once, whatever, however many years that is, then that post-charge will be removed from your bill, and then therefore you would still, then you will only have the $1,967 for your monthly charges.
So if we paid the $378 up front, we'd get the $1,900 a month, and that would be it.
Correct, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we'd own the lights at that point?
No, you still never own the lights, right?
Correct, yeah. And right now, the village has, I think, 234 lights that DT owns and maintains.
Okay.
So this would be an additional 92 on top of those.
Sounds like
$6 grand.
it's like a $250,000 to $300,000 operating cost over 10 years.
Yeah, but they just said that we're paying
For now.
over $6,000 now per month.
Oh,
That's what our monthly bill is.
okay.
For the DT lights now, or for your, okay, yeah.
Plus the repairs, so if somebody knocks one down and we have to pay Rawhorn to come and
Right.
replace the equipment, there's, additional charges on that. We
So
don't
we-
always recoup that from insurance claims.
So we know this is a better deal than what we have, but there's just one deal versus another deal on the table up there, right?
Yep,
Well, there's actually 3, right?
yeah, because you have the other proposal that we heard a
Okay.
couple months back, yep.
Any more questions on this slide right now? If not, I mean, I just have a couple more slides left. They're just,
Thanks, Brendan.
just some of the options. I can't see this very well, but what I proposed here for the downtown business district was this middle one right here. It's actually, it's a concrete pole, and it has a LED 60-watt fixture on top with some, we call it ribs and bands, and a spun cover top. I think the spun cover top was, good for the downtown area. There's residential people living above the buildings that the light wouldn't go up there to cause a nuisance. So that was the light that I selected, but any of these lights, poles that you see here, are also we can use too.
What cities are these in so we could go look at them?
Well, this is actually concrete pole, is a newer product for us, but it's, we have some in Novi that we just installed. This one right here was actually in front of the Meadowbrook Country Club. I can get a map of some of these locations where they are. I mean, you use this style pole, I think along Main Street in some areas, and there might be like 20 some odd locations where this style pole is at, but the light fixture is a little bit different than what you normally have down here. But I could definitely send a map for some locations for you to check out if you want to do that. Sure.
How does a concrete pole hold up to a big impact compared to a cast iron?
So I think, that's what I think was good to hold it for this downtown area of the speed limit. I don't see the pole ever getting knocked down. The car would be more.
Well, nobody actually goes the speed limit, so.
Right. Right. I've never seen one of these poles knocked down.
Okay.
So, I mean, these are embedded 5 feet below the grade. There's no concrete footing or foundation that these things mount to. They're.
So the pole's integral, 5 feet underground?
Yes, correct. And that's where all the wiring apertures are at, and then comes up and there's a little handhole right on here. So, yeah.
How tall are these?
The concrete pole is 13 feet tall, and the other two that you see on the sides are 11 feet 6 inches. But with this little reveal here, it's about 6 inch reveal, so you actually do get a 12-foot mounting height for a light.
So would there be any restrictions with our decorations?
Probably for like banner arms and for the flower pots and stuff. So yeah, that's another good reason for this concrete pole is that it can handle all the things that you do on these poles. The longer banner arms, the flower pot holders, and the wraparound flower pots.
And it's allowed though, because it's your product, you have to authorize that you can do it.
We can allow that.
Because that's kind of like a deal.
Right. There's on these fiberglass ones here on the sides, they're only suitable to have a banner on one side of the pole, but it's only 18 by 36 inches, which I know is a lot shorter than the ones that we currently use. So anything more than that, that pole would fail and lean and cause a safety issue.
And did you say that all three of the options come with the lighting so it doesn't interfere with departments?
Correct, yeah.
All three of them do? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And if there are problems, like, for shielding, if there was a resident complaining or an owner complaining, we do offer, like, house side shield or shields on the back, and there's no extra cost for that at all. Last thing we want to do is put in a new light and have it be a problem, so.
And we can work on the bulb color, the shade.
We standardize on 4,000 Kelvin temperature, but I mean, we can get, 2,700 to 3,000 Kelvin.
I don't know what any of that means, I just want a warmer.
So most of all of our LEDs now are in like a nice bright white color temperature, but we do know that in some areas they don't like that bright white color, so you can get a lower color temperature LED to make it more like a yellow amberish, kind of orange tint.
That'd probably be more along the line.
But I'm not sure of your current, so.
I think it's currently like around 23.
Okay, so there's like a high pressure sodium kind of bulb in there now. So this would be like a night and day, this LED compared to what you currently have.
Okay.
But I mean, a lower color temperature
Right
is
now, but yeah.
available.
That's true with all that.
Yep. So other than that, I mean, I said one more slide just to let you know, like, all those costs, you saw those big like costs and fees, but I mean, if there's never any more maintenance that you would need to do. The only thing that you need to do is report the outage and let us know, and we come out and fix it. Pole gets knocked down, you just let us know. Any underground cable faults, our contractor would obviously go out there and, find the fault located and repair it. And, just a kind of maintenance-free worries, for you. So,
Perfect.
that's all I have. Is there any other questions you may have?
I do, if you could just go back to the slide with the $1,967. I just wanted to clarify that I have this right. So that includes the energy and maintenance. Catherine indicated that we currently pay about $6,000. And I don't know if that $6,000 is for the same amount of lamps that we currently have.
Correct. So this would be in addition to the $6,000.
Okay,
Yeah. Correct.
so, okay.
Yeah, the $6,000 goes towards the 234 lights that we already, have in the village here.
Okay. Would we see a reduction on that cost, though, because of the switchover from the bulb type to LED? You already calculated that out?
No, well, sorry, how do I explain it? Because you would only see an increase now of this much right now. Because lights that you have in the downtown area now are a meter service, which are not, we don't, my department doesn't bill you for that. These are, the $6,000 that you currently pay are for the DT owned and maintained lights, which is a totally separate rate than your metered rate and your, I guess, the maintenance and stuff that you provide for those lights and poles now.
Okay. So the benefit of adding that cost or the 10-year contracted cost price is that they're new, they're LED, it'll be more cohesive.
Yeah,
and-
and this,
So there's not really a cost savings, we're just getting new.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be a cost savings for you guys, because I don't know what you currently pay for your meter service and the maintenance that you have ongoing with, your contractor raw horn and the knockdowns and the pole
Okay.
replacements you have.
Well, it's straight up metered cost should go down.
Right.
Right, because the
If you
bulb,
remove it, if you remove the lights and we move forward with this, your meter rates, that you have would probably go away. I don't know whether lights are, if there's anything else tied to these meters, there's irrigation on the kind of lights, but the lighting would be removed from those meters, and that bill would at least go down if there's other things attached to that meter.
so if 50% of our bill was lighting, it would go down to $3,000 is what you're basically saying.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you're not.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Are you able to audit that for me and tell me what our current usage would be with how
If you had
much
meter
power?
numbers, so you tell me where the meters are, I could get that figure, for you. But I mean, if there's other things that tied to that meter besides the lighting, I wouldn't have any idea.
Okay.
Right, and that makes total sense.
In the downtown, we do lighting at Christmas.
Based on the amount of poles and wattage used.
Sure.
With the bulbs in there, you can get a pretty close estimate to what you're currently using.
Yeah, but if there's irrigation tied to these meters, or any
Right.
other kind of, building lighting or ground mounted lighting, that's,
Now, we do currently have Christmas lighting and Halloween, we're putting that, and that is being powered from those poles.
So all that would be,
So what happens in that? Is there any access? I mean, it's just the LED?
No, these-
Can we put lights on the poles?
you can, yeah, and up here, you can't really see it in this picture, but right here, there's a GFI provision, and the costs that I provided in this estimate do come with the GFI
So you
in
would-
there. It's, you know,
Even though it's not metered,
it's-
you'd pay for
right,
Christmas
it is-
lights?
Yeah, it's based on the honor system. You just tell us how many GFIs you're going to be using, and then we'll bill you, I think it's like $11 a month or something like that.
During when it's being used or all the time?
When it's being used.
So at
And
Christmas
we
time-
We only usually do it like November, December, and January. We'll send out like something, I think in like late October, maybe early November, and you'll get a form, and you'll tell us how many receptacles you plan on using, and then
And if it was one per pole, it'd be $900 and something $1,000 a
It
month.
could be, yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do one per pole, right?
What we do now.
Yeah.
92 poles, we don't do them down.
Well, if they have the
Main
lights.
Street.
When we put all of our lights on,
No,
at least
all
at
the way,
Halloween,
but
we
these
do
street
every
lights
single
go all the way north and,
Not the 92,
maybe
they're,
oh, they're just
Five
in the
of them.
village?
they're
Okay.
just taking care of the ones Rayhorn does now.
I do have one different question. So we are paying for the construction cost, we would enter into a contract. Should we ever stop that contract? Do you pay to take them out? Do we have to pay to give them back? How
We
does
would,
that work?
we would develop a cost estimate for the removal, that's what you have to pay for those costs.
So
I
even
would-
even if we had finished the contract, is there also a recoup cost that you need? If
Correct,
it is
yeah.
5 or 10 years, you
Mhm.
still want to
Yeah.
pay to have them removed?
Yeah. Only way we would, you know, you wouldn't have to incur any kind of cost of DTE, you know, for some reason wanted to, you know, avoid that contract and not do these lights in here anymore, but I've never seen it happen because more or less the request has to come from you to remove them. But yeah, there would be a cost associated with that.
Do you have a plan in place in 25 years, 30 years, whatever the life expectancy of these poles are, to do a complete redo when you would want them all completely updated?
So one thing with the, probably not in the slide, that for part of our preventive maintenance program, we inspect our poles every 3 years. So whether or not we test for the structural integrity of the pole or if it needs painting. You know, obviously the concrete pole wouldn't need painting, but the concrete poles they have an acrylic kind of like shine to them that does fade away after time. I haven't, like I said, there's a newer pole that we just started bringing on. I don't know what that process is going to be for us to, you know, reapply that acrylic after time. But these poles come with a 75-year warranty. LED fixtures, I mean, they have at least a 10-year warranty with them. But if there's any kind of defect, you know, DT takes care of that. You wouldn't be responsible for anything.
So there's nothing, they essentially don't need to be replaced?
No, I mean, and if they do, it's a cost that we pay for.
Okay.
Or if you pay for it, it's within your monthly rate, but it wouldn't be any extra out-of-pocket cost to you.
Perfect. Any further questions? All right.
Well,
Thank you very much,
thanks so much.
Brandon. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it. I'll be in touch. Next up, a special presentation by Paul Bailey from UHY for our sewer assessment management plan.
Thank you.
Okay. As you know, I think the last meeting you had a presentation of your SAW grant. Your engineers were here to talk about all the improvements that was needed to be done. As part of that, you're required to submit a financial plan to the department, to the state, to say how much your rates would have to change in order to do all those improvements that they're suggesting. And that's what this presentation is. It's really looking at what your sewer rates would have to do to cover basically $287,000 of cost annually is what the engineers came up with in their study. If you turn in just past the title page, first of all, I want to go through some of the assumptions used in here. Pretty much, we're just estimating that your expenses go up about 3% per year. Annually, you have about $80,000 of capital. That's kind of the average. This year, flow is actually down. When I say this year, for fiscal 2019, so we're expecting flow to go back up a little bit, at least 3%. And we've seen that in all communities across the board where flow decrease, which as a result brings in less revenue. When you have less flow that you bill, you bring in less revenue, so we're projecting that's going to go back up to at least 3 or 4% there. It doesn't take into effect Ford Motor if they were to go off your system there. All the rates that we're going to talk about would be going into effect July 1st of 2020. It doesn't take into effect whether Armada Township would come onto your system. I know there's been some talk over the last few years and on that. We've kind of excluded that for now until it actually happens, and that would be to a positive if it did happen. It is just taking a look at the sewer rates, not the water rates. The SAW grant was just a sewer-driven grant. And then finally, the new maintenance fee that you approved in April is just basically a 50-50 split use between water and sewer. Doesn't have to be that way, but for this study, that's what we assumed. With that, I'll just give you the rate alternatives. Again, the goal is to raise about $286,000. That's what your engineers come up, estimated the annual project would be. Now, some years you can do double, some years you don't have to do any. You can do 3 or 4 years at a time. That's something you've got to decide of how you're going to tackle that with your engineers. But on average, we're just figuring out what that would be based on their study. If you did everything in that study that they suggested, $286,000 per year, increased it all at one time, your rates would have to go up about 18%, or about $1.60 per thousand there. So from what they are now. You could also look at it from a different perspective and increase your flow rate by 11% and another maintenance fee charge of $4 per month. But again, both those alternatives will raise about the same fee. And when we get to the back, I gave a bar graph that'll show you both those scenarios raise the exact same amount of money or within a few dollars of one another. You also could take a look at it doing the rate increase over a 2-year period of time. If you're going to fund 100% of the rates or the improvements, which if you did that, you'd have to do about 11% increase at July 1st, 2020, and another 11% at July 1st, 2021 to have that enough money to generate $286,000 per year. Now, some communities don't elect to do all the CPI that's recommended by the engineers. So what we've done is said, well, if you only did 75%, which would be $215,000, what would your rates have to do? And that means they have to go up about 12%. And if you only did half of what was suggested, you'd have to raise about 143, or they would go up about 5% there on what they currently are. So not drastic, but to do the whole thing, it is a pretty good size increase to do that. We've tried to give you a whole bunch of different alternatives. There's definitely other alternatives that can be considered there. Again, down at the bottom, we just kind of gave you the effect that Ford Motor could have. It's estimated about $2,000 of your sewer fund revenues generated by them in 2019. They're, with inflation and everything, approximately 176 by 2022. And if that all happened and went away, that would be about somewhere 18 to a 20% increase in the rates to generate those type of dollars. The page 4, 5 just kind of gives you the numeric numbers, how it came up. It's just kind of the calculation to do it. You really don't have to go through that too much tonight. But they average out. If you turn to the bar graph on page 6, we always try to take a look at what the surrounding communities' rates are. And you'll see if you do the 18% increase there, you're still one of the lower rates in the area. This is a combined water and sewer, not just sewer there. Just get an idea of there. And you can see both proposals of an 18% or 11% with that 4% maintenance fee would generate almost exactly the same amount of revenues. And you can see how that goes up from where you are today. Page 7 just gives you the numbers that go into the graph. just a little bit more detail. So I think, what you have to decide is just how much of the projects you're going to tackle and when you're going to tackle it, and then, we can work with the rates based on that, based on, how you're going to tackle it. But this gives you an idea, if you do 100%, what kind of rate, what would happen to the rates.
I don't know if anybody remembers the presentation that HRC came and they presented all the little red dots in that mapping system and every area that needed some sort of infrastructure work. Obviously, we're not capable, well, I guess we could do them all, but they're not all of immediate concern. So, but we certainly need to at least probably look to do something to make sure that our system is maintained where there's grave areas. So we can revisit that at our goals and objectives, looking at how much is really vital that we deal with versus in a perfect world.
Right.
We can tackle everything, but financially it's just not possible. So.
Don't you want to try to tie that to some of the road repairs too, so we're not putting in a new road and then tearing up a sewer a year later? We would try to coordinate.
Right, I don't recall where some of those repairs were, if they were all like in the street. I think most of them were in the piping, actually, but I don't know. We'd have to go back and revisit that map. So, just my thought. All right.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Paul?
Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Good
Appreciate your
information. Thank you.
analysis. Thank
When
you.
you're working with it, if you have more questions, just get a hold of me, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the Romeo District Library update. With us tonight, we have Elizabeth Miller, President of the Library Board, and Claire Lopiccolo. Did I say that correct? Yeah. Okay. So,
Hi, good
Elizabeth,
evening.
thank you.
I know all of you, and it's good to see you again. And it's been my honor to serve on the Romeo District Library Board. I just hit 10 years last year, and thank you for reappointing myself and also Bill. I understand you guys did that last month, so thank you for trusting us with those roles. We really enjoy what we do, and we enjoy working with our new director. I'm excited to introduce you to our new director, Claire Lopiccolo. Come on up, Claire. We're going to start turning over these updates to our director because she's much more equipped to do that more adequately than we are, and she's fabulous, as you're about to find out. So thank you for having us, and Bill is right there, as you can see, and we love what we're doing, and the paycheck's pretty good too, so. Kidding, we get paid nothing.
Hi, I'm Claire Lopiccolo. I have been the library director since June of 2019, so I'm still sort of new. It still feels new sometimes, but other times it feels like I've been there for quite some time. Depends on the day and what's going on. So I brought a one-page handout for you that goes over some of the things that we're working on and things we've accomplished in the last year and a half or so. And I did them based on our strategic plan that we had in place until May of 2021. We just went over that at our recent meeting. So some of the things that we have accomplished are that we've got at least 10% more new materials purchased each of the last 2 years to meet popular demand for books and movies and all that kind of thing. I have stepped up the amount of staff training with staff development days, sending people to conferences and webinars. We've eliminated overdue fines, and one of the reasons we did that was because it's a barrier to low-income families or people on a fixed budget. And we were able to, because of the elimination of the overdue fines, we have seen some families come back who weren't regular users of the library, because every time they took something out, if they took out 100 items, they would owe way too much when they came back, and it made it so they blocked their card and they were not able to use the library anymore. We've heard lots of good stories about people coming back. And one of the really nice things is that the overdue fines, people think that that's how we fund the library, but it was more like 1% of our budget. So we've been able to replace some of that with vending machine profits, and we're working on some grants and things like that. So we're not seeing a big change. There are some people who are upset that it's our job to teach responsibility, but that's not one of our missions. So we continue to have excellent programming for all ages, story times, concerts, puzzle competitions. Last year, we had over 7,500 people attend programs. We have new items for checkout. Just last week, we introduced mobile hotspots. So you can check out a hotspot from T-Mobile and take it with you on vacation. If you're going up north to your cabin and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can take that with you. If you live in Bruce Township where internet is spotty, you can check one out for a couple of weeks and use that. So we've got 4 of those that are in circulation. We also have kids' tablets, and those are really nice because they don't have internet. So you can feel safe with letting your kids play on apps that are preloaded and they can't get on the internet. So those are really nice. We also have craft kits at Kezar. So if somebody wants to learn how to do calligraphy, they can check out all the materials they need before they buy all of them and see if it's something they really want to try. We also have increased our online services that are free to anybody who has an RDL card. We have online tutoring. A lot of people are looking for tutors for math and science and things like that. And what a lot of people don't know is that as long as you have a library card, it's free to have a one-on-one online tutoring session through the library page. So if you know any high schoolers or parents of high schoolers, it benefits them. So we also have genealogy research. If any of you have done any genealogy, know that getting Ancestry.com is very expensive. The library's paying for it, so you can use it with your card and do your genealogy research that way. We also have language learning, and that one has a huge variety of languages on it, but it includes Shakespearean too. If you were working on a Shakespeare project, you could do that. We have online magazines and downloadable books and audiobooks, which are one of our fastest growing categories of materials that are being checked out. And we have music and video streaming services as well. We're working with the school district to get cards for all of the students. We're hoping to get that done in the next few months so that all of them have access to the databases and the online tutoring and all the things that are available. Even if they can't get to a library building, they'd still be able to have access to what we have available online. We're also working on getting more librarians into the schools to visit classrooms and work with teachers to make sure that we're meeting their curriculum needs. The big thing last week at our most recent board meeting was that the board approved the purchase of an outreach van. So we will have a van that's going to be kind of like one of the Amazon delivery vans. It's the same shape as that. But we're not going to come to your house on Sundays, I promise. But it's going to be for deliveries, but it'll also go to senior facilities and to schools. So we'll be able to roll a cart off that van and take it into a school, have a computer with us, and check things out to people. Also, Elizabeth wants to take it in the parade with a float, but I don't think the hitch is going to work out, so we'll see about that. But part of the reason we're able to do this small bookmobile kind of thing is that the Friends of the Library who sell used books in the library have raised over $25,000 for us, and they gave us a big check last week, so that was really great. So if you go into the library and you buy a book, we use those things. We use that money. And we're working to get to underserved areas of our community, partly with the outreach van. The idea is that we'll go to up to the fire station off Van Dyke and in Bruce Township and be able to serve some of the residents up that way who have a harder time getting to Kezar or Grosvenor. We've gone through extensive remodeling, which makes me never want to remodel in my home. But it's actually been really wonderful. The children's department at Grosvenor is completely remodeled and is all bright colors and trees and geese flying from the ceiling, and it's pretty incredible. And then we just had the teen and adult department redone as well. And there's new furniture in there and brand new carpet. The carpet was 20 years old, so it was time. It was being held down by duct tape, but it looks a whole lot better now. We also added an outdoor play area at Grosvenor, which is called the Big Brother Bear Discovery Zone, and that was funded through donations that were in memory of Gavin Miller, who passed away in May of 2018. So that was my first project when I came on board. I wasn't even officially an employee yet, and I met with some of the friends of his family who really spearheaded this effort and have been amazed at the generosity of the Romeo community. It's just been overwhelming. And then the Romeo Community Archives, which are at the lower level of Kezar, We have waterproofed everything, we've updated the shelving, they have a new scanner, and we have some new collections there. So we're also going to be reconfiguring some of the shelving there for better use of space and better use of the computers there because those get used a lot. We're also trying to figure out how, once Romeo Middle School closes, how we're going to get those kids who walk down to the library to get them to keep coming to the libraries when they're coming from farther away. So we're working to see what we can do about that. So all of these things that we've done with a balanced budget, an appropriate fund balance, and 2 consecutive clean audits. I have a great staff that I work with, and my library board is pretty fantastic, and they've been very supportive and very agreeable, so I appreciate that. And like I said, the community has just been tremendously generous and supportive, so this is a good place to be. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on at the library?
No, we
Sounds
don't.
exciting.
It's great.
It is, it's exciting to, yeah, there's odd things going on. Yes, Bill?
We have quite a few children's programs, and I wish you could come and see the little kids. I've been there for cupcake decorating, and you think, oh, Lord, no. Those kids were thrilled and excited, and they had a judging, and they had to bring their cupcakes up, and the excitement on the kids, and the reading,
The story times.
the reading that programs that we have, the contest.
Oh, the summer reading?
Summer reading. There's like 15 groups with 10 to 12 kids in each group. And
Oh,
they're
the
so
Battle of the Books.
The
5th grade Battle of the Books. That's good stuff.
About reading and trying to win. And it's so heartwarming to see these kids enjoy the library. And this is what it's all about.
It's a tremendous asset to the Village of Romeo to have an active and engaged library system for everybody to use, especially having, the historic one right in our downtown, the Keysards, when you can just walk up there and sit down next to the fireplace and thumb through a magazine, if nothing else. So it's great, and we really appreciate your efforts. Was thrilled that we were able to partner on a community engagement event with our tree board, to be able to utilize the facility to, use that, for your patrons and for people of the village. It's just a beautiful relationship, and so I look forward to fostering that in many more events.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for coming tonight. All right, let's move on our agenda. We have correspondences. I have 2 this month, just to mention. I received a notice from the Great Lakes Water Authority. They are hosting their annual open house, public hearing to talk about the rates. They are increasing rates across the board by 3.5%. So we can anticipate looking at that and updating our budget to include that increase. And the second notice that I have was from GFL, our new waste hauler. So they notified us that they have recently purchased a new recycling facility called, it's in Huron Township. It's called the Materials Recovery Facility, MFR for short. Again, in Huron Township. They are offering to anybody, residents in municipalities, if anybody wants to go get a tour, they are hosting tours of that facility if you want to learn about how recycling works. So if anybody needs any contact information, just let me know, and I'm happy to pass their phone number along to you. So I think they're doing a great job. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from all of our residents, and they're real happy with the level of service that GFL is giving us, so that's very good. All right, move on to officer reports. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over public forum. Is there anybody here who wishes to address this board on any agenda item? Hearing none, then let's move on to our officer report. So, the President's report for February 18th from 2020. I wanted to thank everybody who attended the Road Asset Management Plan work session, as well as the Master Plan meeting on January 28th. I watched the meeting live from Virginia, thanks to the Mitt TV. I felt that it was very informative and will help all of us at our upcoming goals and objectives budgeting workshops, the information that was presented. On January 30th, I attended a special meeting of the Macomb Partners Velocity collaboration. This event focused on sharing information about programs, services, and data that the MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, has developed to assist us at the local level, as well as assist business owners throughout the whole county. So always good to see what programs that they can help us out with. I attended several informal meetings to discuss the Tri-Community Parks and Rec. We're still focused on making sure that the millage renewal language is submitted to the county for the August ballot. As of right now, it will remain a tax levied by both townships. Romeo will have no representative on that commission until things change further, but that's the status. I attended both the DDA and the tree board meetings for the month of February. The main focus of the DDA right now is to get our benches installed. We purchased them previously end of 2019 or summer of 2019, and so we're going to be looking to get those installed as soon as the weather allows us to do that. They're also trying to coordinate, bring back the sidewalk sales, downtown sidewalk sales in conjunction with the village-wide garage sale. So hopefully that'll be another area of focus for people who are coming to town to get a good deal. The tree board is working on organizing an Arbor Day planting event. We do not currently have any Arbor Day events. Arbor Day is April 24th. The village needs to prepare a declaration and have an official event recognizing Arbor Day and our funding for that event in order for us to complete the application to become a designated Tree City USA. So that will be a great opportunity for us to be designated and take into account all the good things that come with that program. Todd Robinson requested a meeting last Tuesday to discuss the status of the Romeo Middle School building. Trustee Hart attended that meeting with me. He is going to be hosting a town hall meeting to provide a timeline and explain the process and reasoning that the building will be demolished. You're all invited to attend once the date has been locked in, and of course I'll keep you updated. It should be within the next month or two, and then they plan to have a celebrate the building event a night as soon as school lets out before the demo process, which they anticipate next winter should take care of that. The village staff is working in conjunction with the police department to enforce our snow removal ordinance, reminding homeowners, tenants, and building owners of their responsibility to remove snow and ice from the sidewalks after each snow event. Cindy Wilson in our office mailed out an initial 60 letters of notice after our police department noted the non-compliant addresses. They followed up and issued several municipal violation tickets for those who still haven't complied. For those that use the sidewalks daily, please continue to report any concerns to the village hall so that we can act promptly to ensure public safety. It's huge, and so hopefully we're seeing an improvement on our sidewalks. I'm working as street administrator, just a quick update. I'm working with Hubble, Roth, and Clark to add Parrott Court to our PACER report study. It's an update to the street map that is maintained by the county. Annually, the county sends a request to the street administrator of all the municipalities requesting any changes or updates that need to be amended to their mapping system. So I need to get that to them by April. Also, the state of Michigan has released the funding amounts for our Act 51 monies. Romeo will receive in 2020 $337,115.92. For 2021, we up to $358,651.99, and for 2022, $366,274.45. Pretty much won't accomplish any projects that we learned about in our road asset management plan, but will still help our DPW keep our streets clear, plowed, maintain the storm sewers. That's where most of those monies are channeled. That is my president's report.
Okay. The Cemetery Board of Trustees met on January 31st to begin discussing plans for spring staffing and cleanup for spring and summer, also a possible Friends of the Cemetery organization. Also for the cemetery, new cemetery BSNA software has been installed at the village. With the new software, record keeping should be more organized. Right now, cemetery records are written on note cards, half sheets of paper, and spiral notebooks, so this is going to help out a lot. The staff in the village also, and I would also like to thank those trustees that voted for the budget to have BSNA software come to the village. BSNA has replaced software that was aging up to 20-plus years old. The old software was not receiving any new updates, which was making their daily duties more and more difficult to complete. They now can do their jobs more seamlessly with the new software, so they all thank you. Last week, I found out I have received a scholarship for my upcoming Clerks Institute conference that will take place in March. This will be the year 2 of a 3-year clerks program that I will be attending. This is more of an update for the trustees, but I've submitted a claim to our insurance holder, MML, and it was approved that we are covered and will be reimbursed for a recent legal settlement that was distributed. You guys know the outcome. And the village has an updated website. It launched last week. Thank you for everyone's patience, as some updates still need to be made. Because at this time, I'm the only one in the office that is versed in this program, so I'm hoping to train someone that will help out with making edits and whatnot, but I'll keep you up to date I'll keep the website up to date as best as I can. That's all I have.
Thank you. Treasurer Sherry Maddox.
And I want to thank you all as well for the BSNA. That has just been a great innovation into just the accuracy, and every bill that comes in is actually scanned into the system. And so everything is scanned right into the appropriate general ledger. And I want to thank again Tim, our accountant, for getting everything organized in that regards. We also have Point and Pay, which is our new credit card online processing, which I'm working with the clerk so that you'll be able to have the opportunity to actually go to the website and pay any type of bill that may need to be paid, whether it be cemetery, building permit, tax, water bill, etc. That option will be out there available for the residents and business owners. You'll also be able to have the opportunity to have your payments from your checking or your savings account as well from any credit card company. And then the last thing I just want to mention is the depository resolution that was included in your packet. And if there are any questions, and all the banks that have been updated are 5-star rating. So, and I will be probably over the next month or so giving you an update with some additional financial investing that I'll be doing with these banks.
Excellent.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee reports. Does anybody have anything in addition to report this evening?
I'll just support your sidewalk ordinance, and I noticed one particular sidewalk that has never been shoveled was shoveled. So,
excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Not mine.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, we have anything from the Planning Commission that needs to be related?
Yeah, we have been reviewing the master plan as far as some of these addendums that our planner has proposed to us. And we have approved Article 5 and Article 6 to the bylaws as far as his recommendations. Also, the approved draft for the fence ordinance, we approved that also. So the rest of the amendments are being reviewed and going through each one.
Perfect. All right, thank you for that. Let's move on to number 10 on our agenda, committee reports. Anything updating from the parking lot? Okay. I'll just keep it on there as a reminder. If you want us to remove it and dissolve the committee, just let me know. But people keep offering that as a glimmer of hope that we might have some.
They had a question on a couple of them, but they didn't quote exactly the same thing. So I know that it's just waiting on all of the quotes with everything the same to come in.
Perfect.
And the conversation comes up with the planning commission too, because what they do too.
I don't plan on dropping it.
Oh.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Up to you. No, we'll keep it on there as long as it's active, and I know we're just waiting, so we'll just keep it in the forefront. AT&T committee, we're hoping to have that on our agenda tonight. That is the antenna project on top of our water tower. There were one or two last-minute things that Mr. Clark caught when we were doing the final review of the recommendations from the subcommittee and from the engineering firm. that actually built the water tower that needed to be included in the documents and in the lease from AT&T. So we went back to them and asked them to accommodate those last few revisions, and so hopefully by next month, they are going to go before the Planning Commission, the first meeting of March, for a site plan review of the utility cabinet, and also of the antenna itself on top of the water tower. So hopefully that'll be completed, and then we can look to entertain the lease. So get that in front of you as soon as possible. All right, we have no unfinished business to go over tonight, so let's move on to new business. We have our wastewater treatment plant shaft repair request. Al, I put you first for money tonight, right?
Because you didn't need much.
Right?
So, we had a shaft that went with a bio disc. It's a 5-inch shaft, about that big around. We had the bearing go. It travels very slowly. So when the bearing goes, you don't hear that high-pitched whine, maybe 1 RPM, so it slowly started wearing away at the shaft. We've had these happen before, those particular pieces of equipment. We've got 15 of them, biodiscs. They've been in there for going on 40 years. So we've done several in the past. The company we used to use doesn't do it anymore, so we had to reach out to a couple different companies, MMS, and which is out of Taylor, and another one, NMP, out of Escanaba, Michigan. Obviously, the one from Taylor is cheaper. They're going to do it different. The other company from Escanaba went to sleeve it. These folks are going to do what the other company used to do, which is to lay layers of weld on top of it, and then put a lathe and have it spin on the shaft and turn it down to the right proportions.
So they machine it in place?
Yes. It's actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
I don't know if she had pictures included, but I do have some pictures here.
Yeah, there are a couple.
What the shaft looks like.
They're in the packet.
Is that block in there to keep it in place? Is that what this block is?
No,
This-
the block is it's laying down. We got it lifted on hydraulics.
Oh,
We don't want to
okay.
leave it up there on the hydraulics, so we drop it.
Gotcha, so it's not running with that block?
No, it's not.
Oh,
running.
okay.
It's sitting still.
Gotcha.
So we wanted to get this done immediately, so I talked to Christine, and we went and contacted the folks for $8,675 and told them just, come on, so we could get them out here. Matter of fact, they start working on it tomorrow. But I wanted to.
Guess it's approved then, huh?
Excuse me?
I say, I guess it's approved then. We're good.
It was an emergency, we had to get it going.
No, it's the right way to do it too, is the machine it in place is a lot cheaper.
All right, I'll make a motion to.
Oh, just our minutes,
Dave's
yep.
in the middle of it, right?
I'm sorry. Oh,
8675, that's what it shows.
The Michigan Mechanical Services, right? That's the quote that you're recommending?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who's going to do it, okay.
Thanks, Al.
Motion to approve that.
support.
So we have a motion by Poznanski, we have support by Hart. Can you roll call, please?
Poznanski?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I was like, yes.
Right? Okay, let's move on. Item B, under new business, we have an RFP for a lawn service contract. We had a contract the last 3 years with Delco that's expired, so we'd like to bid it out. Catherine drafted the RFP that you have in front of you. We're just looking for authorization for her to post it on the mitten and contact, we know some vendors. We'll reach out to Ron White. KLM has reached out to me asking for an opportunity to bid. I think there's several others that may be interested, so.
I'll make a motion that we allow Catherine to move forward with posting this for bid.
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion by Bartholomew, we have support by Edwards. Just one quick note that she also did include a separate line item for maintenance and lawn service in the cemetery. Just as a cost comparison to what it's costing us for the cemetery crew there, I suggested that as long as she was sending it out, we just at least get some bids to know where we're faring, so just pointing that out. All right, all in favor then of the,
Aye.
any opposed?
Would there be any way we could get the flower bed maintenance in the 2 parking lots?
There is,
I'm just thinking, if they're already doing lawn and maybe they do the same thing, we might get a better price that way, as opposed to just the DVA just asking for someone to come out and pull weeds in one of the parking lots. You know?
well, it says garden and bed maintenance along with spring and fall cleanups on village property. So is that not, it's the village, right?
They've never really been taken care of. We contracted out the last couple of times, and we even did the mulch ourselves.
So there were a lot of areas that were lacking under the last contract, so hopefully we'll be inclusive and, we'll just work in conjunction to make sure that somebody's seeing that the work was actually performed, or if we need to point out an area that got missed, so they go back and do that, so. Unless you don't feel like that line covers what you're asking, I think it does.
It covers it, right?
Okay.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that's,
Just have to point it out, like you said.
yeah, so this contract is broader than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that's really what we're asking, because
Yeah, do a little,
every month we would have discussions on the 7-foot weeds and the.
yeah.
Right.
Me and Lisa would go out and pull.
Right,
them.
right.
Yes.
She's allergic to bees and
Okay.
Nope.
Well, we'll get that posted, and then we hope to get that back for our March meeting yet, so we can award the contract. And so they can start in April if it, did we put a date? Is it March? Or
Yeah.
what did we decide it was April? March 11th?
March
Okay.
11th,
Yes.
in time for the March 16th meeting.
Okay.
So it'll be posted on the website?
Yeah.
We'll put it on the mitten. Where else you'll send out letters to those
Yes.
contractors that I mentioned, specifically inviting them to bid, and we'll put it on the website, we'll hang it in the window.
Yeah, and maybe then we'll come get it.
Okay, item number C, we have Vitrino Consulting Contract Addendum. In years past, we had a contract, we amended it back in last January with a not-to-exceed amount, and we're nearing the end of those funds that were appropriated for his projects. I thought it would probably be more efficient, or my request is that we just do it on an hourly basis, and that when he does submit an invoice, then it's included in your packet. The invoices that he submits for payment are detailed, just like the invoices that you might see from our legal services. So if you're wondering what projects he's assisting me on that may not be on our agenda, you would certainly have accounting of what those are. So I'm just asking for a resolution to approve this amendment to his contract.
I'll make that resolution.
I'll support it.
Edwards, Hart, I'm sorry, Edwards and Seidel, okay. Can you do a roll call for me on that?
Edwards?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Sosniewski?
No.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Fowler?
No.
Hart?
Yes.
President Melzan?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-2.
Great. Okay, as Sherry mentioned, we have the investment and depository designation resolution update. Annually, she's reviewing the qualifications of the banks, making sure that they meet all the criteria that we need, as well as looking for other opportunities and businesses that may come in. I believe Tri-County Bank, our newest bank on Van Dyke, is now added to this resolution. That's one of the noted big changes, so.
They're 5-star also, right?
Yes.
Yep. So this resolution, we don't necessarily have money in all of these banks, but it gives Sherry the latitude to shop around to see who's got the best, investment rate and lowest service fees and such, so that she can make the judgments to where our money is most
So do we need a resolution to approve this? Or-
Yep.
I'll go ahead and make the resolution to approve this list of banks.
I'll support.
Motion by Edwards, support by Hart. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. In your packet, we have the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget amendments. As I indicated last month, It took Tim, our new accountant, and I'm grateful that he could be here to answer any follow-up questions that you may have, a while to recreate all of our financials. Our budget that we approved last July changed significantly because the starting numbers that we were working with when we were developing that budget were not accurate because the financials hadn't been reconciled. So almost every line item, if you were to compare it to the budget that you actually saw back in those workshops of last year, is slightly different. We did approve the budget on a fund level. So ultimately, those don't necessarily matter. It's the cover sheet that's going to recapture what the biggest changes are that I want to point out to you. So the general fund of the net loss of $127,769, that's mostly made up of some payroll calculations that were not figured correctly, and the BSNA software purchase that we approved. So we knew we hadn't included that in our budget. That project came up after. That $127,000 should equal out with the community stabilization money. We'll get a second payment in May. We've always gotten those funds, so that should certainly cover any of that. So we don't need to reduce any of that money. There's a slight amount from the cemetery. We're currently analyzing where the cost came from. It varies depending on how many burials we have and who's actually performing that service. So if the DPW is going out there on a Sunday and there's 3, then that's a lot more overtime than if it's on a Wednesday and Casey's already there and he's able to dig the cremains. So we had a little bit of cost run over there of $896. So that's going to require a little bit of probably a transfer into that line item, or I'm sorry, that fund level, department level. The public improvement fund, so it shows that there's $1,205. We put Tim, in his infinite wisdom and my lack thereof of accounting, when we did the budget, we put prior year fund balance. We put that $470,000 that captured into that holding account that we were supposed to use for rainy day projects, and that money is still there, but in the budgeting and accounting world, you can't use prior year fund balance when you're budgeting. So we put the expenditures of the master plan, that's where part of that funding is coming from for the work that Steve Casson is doing. We assigned it to part of that department, and that's where the $1,205 comes in. Should all level out with the use of that prior year fund balance, but you just can't show it in the budget.
As revenue.
I'm sorry?
As revenue?
Right, because it's not revenue. Yep. It's not revenue. Small amount there, $99 for the DDA. Building and inspections, we need to ultimately revamp our whole inspection process and the revenue. It's, again, very hard to calculate when our inspectors are going to submit an invoice for payment. Some of these projects are 1 or 2 or 3 years old, and they're just now being completed, and we may then just get an invoice for a large payment that we actually received the money from in a previous year, and now we have to pay out on the back end. So it's just a little bit of a challenge for us to sort of calculate out how do we budget appropriately for what those expenses are. The sewer and water funds that you see, $113,000, $217,000 respectively, that is because we never accounted for in our budgeting process depreciation, which when I asked Tammy from UHY, Trooper Van Whipple, she said, some municipalities account for depreciation and some don't. It's Tim's preference that we account for that, so he's included it in there. Again, use of that fund balance will cover those expenditures, but it's showing an actual loss right now based on our current revenues. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? Or questions for Tim?
We didn't do that in the past, though, so how did we get by without?
It was all noted in the audit at the year end, but not in the budgeting process. So when we predict, Tim can actually put in what the numbers are going to be actual versus just, operating all year, and then at the end of the year, we would know what we've spent, and then we would make the year-end budgets before we adopted the next fiscal year. So that process is going to be a little bit different. I mean, we still can't account right now for any unexpected expenditure that's going to happen over the next couple of months, so there still may be things that we need to adjust at the end of the fiscal year, but this and the work that he's doing on a daily basis are actual numbers. Everything is reconciled to the penny.
So is that like using the accrual process to go back a month? Is that really what you're doing and forecast forward? I mean, is that what you're really doing? Sorry.
Yeah, so I can give you an update, quick update. Okay. So BSNA is a huge improvement to real-time accounting, and what that means is I put the village on full accrual year-round. So you run your reports and you would get an accurate number any time of the year versus November of the following year, 5 months after what has closed. The auditors do a bunch of adjusting journal entries and you come to accrual after the fact. So we've reversed from basically a cash basis accounting, which governments don't use, to a full accrual accounting. So now your financials represent how the village will close at year end. And that's how we're going to start budgeting. So when you receive a financial report, it will match up to how your audit looks, how you present your financials to anybody that looks at us for bonding or borrowing money or anything else. They will literally be, when we turn over our financials to the auditors, they shouldn't have any adjustments. They will be presented how they correctly should be. And that includes things like depreciation, which is a huge expense. Depreciation is the annual cost of the system declining. That value would have to be either replaced when the system has deteriorated, or you would have to bond it out or push in cash for those expenditures. So that's a true cost, and not budgeting it's simply not budgeting depreciation simply does not realize that that value of the system is declining every year. And so now by reporting it, it shows that the rates don't cover paying cash to replace. We're spending more, we're using those resources and we're not collecting enough cash. So that means when it's time to do the sewer improvements or anything else, we have to go borrow money. And that's really what depreciation shows. You would have to increase those rates to build your cash bank up. So when you have the project, you would have cash in the bank. And we're not doing that with the current rate structure. That's why you had the 18% increase from UHY earlier. We have to increase our rates to have enough cash to do capital projects. So literally they're saying the same exact thing, but your financials are accurate now. I don't have adjusting journal entries. I have 5 cities right now. I have clean audits with no findings. So that's just not me. And I think your financials now represent accurately within a 98% margin of where you will be at June 30th.
And then you've got like a month after June 30th to accrual back to make the end of the year?
Usually within 3 days.
Oh.
I pull up statements online and then post it back immediately. So the village has real-time posting within a week after month end.
And we were never able to do that with the software that we had. It just didn't talk to anything. You can't download a statement online and input it into the software that we had before. So BSNA is
awesome.
It's changed everything tremendously.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Now, do we share this depreciation cost in the contracts that we have with other municipalities? Is that figured into the rates and all that sort of thing?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, if they're taking part of our equipment, I think that would be something, especially if we're building a contract right now, we should really look into them paying their part of the use and the depreciation of the equipment.
I will verify with Paul, because as part of the audit process that they just completed, he does an analysis of the actual cost and then provides me a fund, a balance that we then invoice Bruce Township for. He calculates up the cost to operate. So I'm assuming that he has that depreciation in there, but I don't know for 100% fact. So
And
I'll
then
have
check
to
whatever
check.
we're doing with Armada to make sure that it's if it is in Bruce, the same language is replicated, just to make sure.
It is based on the cost. I know that contract does encapsulate the cost of.
I know we do repairs,
Right.
but I don't know about.
And so depreciation, I would think, would be factored in that cost because that's the accounting practice, whether it happened as it happens or at the year end. So, but I'll ask that question. Does anybody else have any other questions for Tim or any concerns over any of these numbers that you
Thanks,
have?
Tim. So, good update, thank you.
Okay. So then I need a resolution to approve the budget amendments.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2019-2020 amended budget resolution.
I'll second.
That was Bartholomew, and second by Seidel. Can you call a roll for me, please?
Okay, Bartholomew?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Edward?
Yes.
Fowler?
No.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Yes.
President Lozon?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you very much. Okay, you have in your packet a draft for the fiscal year corrective action plan. We submitted one of these when Catherine and I first took office due to the audit notes that came from the last audit. We still had some deficiencies that you heard Paul report on when he gave that, and so this is in response to those. A lot of these have already been addressed, purchasing the BSNA software, but we just need to notify the state of the good work that we're doing here to make sure that we're meeting all of the standards that they're telling us. So I'm just looking for a resolution because this letter has to be accompanied by a resolution of the board that we're agreeing to do what it says we're doing.
I'll make that resolution, accept the letter as drafted.
Okay. Resolution by Hart, support by Poznanski. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 7-0. We'll get that sent off. All right, item G, legal opinion request for millage assessments. I put this together with a list of stuff that I thought would be prudent for us to have. And Mark and I have met several times to go over, legally, what can we do? If we're going to have our goals and objectives workshop meeting, we're going to look at our road asset management plan, we're going to look at our sewer rate study that we just heard about, UHY, all the other projects, if we're going to look at DTE lighting, we're going to look at the cemetery, and my question to all of you is, okay, so do we want to do these projects? And if we do, how do we fund them? So I thought it was proactive to get legal opinion, written in a legal opinion, of what we can legally do. What can we assess by board vote? What do we have to take and put on a millage ballot? And then the steps if we're to bond, if we're actually going to borrow money to do any of these projects. So I figured if I had a meeting with them and had those questions, you're probably all going to have the same, and rather than put him on the spot for an answer, I thought it best he just prepare legal opinions on all those items, and then we'll have them when we get together for their goals and objectives. So that's why that's there. So I'd like a motion to approve the legal opinion list, which is the process and ability for Romeo to obtain a Headley override for general tax levy, village council's ability and limits for tax levy for the following purposes when a vote or when is a vote by electorates required. That would be for the highway and street millage tax, the cemetery maintenance, if we can levy a millage for the cemetery, the rubbish removal levy. Currently, we don't levy any. We don't levy any for the cemetery, but again, just wondering what our options are. Procedures and ability to request street bond millage with dedicated funding for any particular projects.
This doesn't really need a resolution, this is just a statement of facts.
Well, we need a resolution of the board to request Mark to prepare the opinions, and those are the opinions that I'm asking him to actually to write.
So this is, okay.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with allowing our attorney to go over these, each and every one of these for our legal opinions.
Okay. So we have a motion by Bartholomew.
I'll support.
Support by Hart. Does that require a roll call or just all in favor?
Just an all in favor, not spending
All in
money.
favor, right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Perfect, so we'll look at that. And then the final agenda item, budget meeting, special, budget/special meeting schedule. I put together just this green sheet with Catherine just looking preemptively at our calendar, so I'd like, if everybody can be available for Monday, March 9th, to be that goals and objectives, and we're going to look at that funding options as well as plan how we're going to budget. Tim is working with Catherine to draft the next fiscal year budget with the new software. So realistically, we'll know exactly where those numbers are going to be, better than we ever have been able to prepare that. So we'll be able to look at what do we have, what do we want to do, and how can we pay for it.
We get that 3 to 5 year, that we always wanted a really good outlook.
Yep, with actual numbers. So it'll be quite refreshing.
I'm assuming 7 o'clock, or did we?
Are they all 7
we've
o'clock
done
start
something
times?
Earlier, but 7?
I would think so.
I'm open to suggestions, but 7 o'clock seems to be a pretty decent time, so.
So you need a motion on these dates?
Are the other two Mondays also?
April is a Wednesday, 8th is a Wednesday, and the
Wednesday.
27th is a Monday.
Does anybody have any known issues with any of these dates now, or can we proceed with those?
Yeah,
Just
I'd like to
my-
make a motion that we move forward with these dates for our special meetings.
So that will be Monday, March 9th. Again, it's posted as a public meeting, but it'll, just be our general workshop and review. The first one I called for a special meeting because we would probably review Mark's legal opinions as long as he can have them drafted before that meeting. So we'll call that as a special. So that was, I'm sorry, it was a motion by Bartholomew. Did I have
Yes.
support?
Support?
I'll support it.
Okay, support by Poznanski.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That concludes our new business. Do we have anybody who wants to make any public comments at this time? If not, Zach, I'll look for a motion to adjourn at 8:23.
Thank you.
Support?
Yes, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
8:22.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.